Ladies and gentlemen, all the guests have arrived. I request you to rise for national anthem. Please. Honorable Chief Guest and other respected guests, I welcome you all to this launching ceremony of a report on malnutrition and stunting in the Tharparkar district. That study we have conducted in collaboration with the P&D department, for which Ombudsman Sindh and his office is highly grateful for their encouragement and for their efforts to accomplish this task. With this, I will request Qazi Idris Sahab to come and recite from the Holy Quran.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا استعينوا بالصبر والصلاة إن الله مع الصابرين. ولا تقولوا لمن يقتل في سبيل الله أموات بل أحياء ولكن لا تشعرون. ولنبلونكم بشيء من الخوف والجوع ونقص من الأموال والأنفس والثمرات وبشر الصابرين. آمنت بالله صدق الله العظيم وصدق رسوله النبي الكريم ونحن على ذلك من الشاهدين الشاكرين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Honorable Chief Minister, ladies and gentlemen, this occasion is being celebrated for launching a study on malnutrition and stunting in the district Tharparkar. And in this study, we are fortunate to have the coordination and full support of Planning and Development Board of Sindh, for which the Ombudsman Sindh is very grateful for their support and their kindness. To have a brief idea what this study is about, I will request Mr. Ubaid, who is the advisor on social sector programs in PND department and has been working for a long time and has been working in coordination with the World Bank and other multiple donors. I'll request Mr. Ubaid Khan to kindly come and make his presentation.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you for grateful to the Honorable Chief Minister of Sindh, the Global President of the International Ombudsman Institute, and all the esteemed guests for attending this launch of this report on the assessment of malnutrition, especially stunting in District Tharparkar. Due to the paucity of time, I will just skim through several slides. The full report can be found on the IOI's website, the ioi.org. The Research and Training Wing of the Planning and Development Department collaborated with the Provincial Ombudsman, Sindh, to undertake this study, which spanned from April till about August 2022, for a holistic analysis of nutrition-specific programs in District Tharparkar to offer recommendations for improved service delivery and overall nutrition outcomes. The study would not have been possible without the strategic oversight and support of the Provincial Ombudsman, Sindh, and their team, the Chairman Planning and Development Board, Chief Economist, Planning and Development Board, and the Health Department representatives. I'm extremely grateful to the participants across provincial departments, especially the Task Force Secretariat for Nutrition, the Health Department, implementing partners, health staff, health facilities, OTP sites, Nutrition Stabilization Center staff, outreach workers, and community members who gave their valuable time in form of in-depth interviews and focus group discussions. I would also like to extend my gratitude to the International Ombudsman Institute for supporting this study through the Regional Subsidy Program. The overarching purpose of the study was to deconstruct the malnutrition, especially stunting landscape in Tharparkar through secondary analysis of nutrition-specific programs in order to offer recommendations. The secondary analysis was complemented by in-depth interviews, about 24 of them, and focus group discussions across Karachi, Mithi, Nagar Parkar, and Islamkot talukas of Tharparkar. Just to give you a brief overview of what stunting is basically the impaired growth and development that the children experience from poor nutrition, repeated infection, and inadequate psychosocial stimulation. Children are defined as stunted if their height for age is more than 2 standard deviations below the WHO Child Growth Standards median. It is a highly irreversible condition with long-term repercussions. The problem stunting, as you can see from this slide, has been a long-standing problem of Pakistan, with prevalence of hovering between 40 and 50% for many decades. Malnutrition, especially stunting, is not just a public health problem. A study by the World Food Program in 2017 stated that the estimated cost of malnutrition was about $7.6 billion to the economy, which was about 3% of the Pakistan's GDP. A snapshot of stunting, you can see that the 40.2% stunting prevalence in the country, wasting, underweight, high prevalence throughout the country. These are the study objectives which I briefly mentioned. The in-depth desk review and secondary analysis were complemented by the secondary research, focus group discussions, and in-depth interviews. Okay, just National Nutrition Survey of 2018 stated that the 40.2% stunting prevalence in Pakistan, with highest prevalence in Balochistan, followed marginally closely by Sindh, then KP, and then Punjab. And the concurrent prevalence of wasting and stunting was actually the highest in Sindh. This is the subnational comparison, the interprovincial comparison. And you can see Sindh is not far below stunting prevalence in Balochistan. According to the MIX, the multiple indicators survey conducted by the Sindh Bureau of Statistics, PND, the prevalence of stunting in Sindh was about 48% in 2014, which has increased to 50% in 2018, a 2% points increase actually over the last few years. In terms of the stunting prevalence in District Tharparkar, which receives considerable media attention over the years. It was 63% in 2014, according to Mix, and it has reduced to 50.6%, still high in 2018, according to Mix. This shows a snapshot of the prevalence of stunting across districts. In terms of the highest stunting prevalence, Sujawal, Jamshor, Dadu have the highest stunting prevalence, more than 70%, followed by Badin, Tandwalaya, Tanda Mohammad Khan, Thatta, with between 60 and 70%, followed by Umarkot and Hyderabad. A brief overview of District Tharparkar, a total population of about 1.65 million people, with a predominantly rural population, 92%, 7 talukas, and a significant population below the age of 19 years, about 20%. I've discussed this before. I'll just skim through these slides. So moving swiftly towards the nutrition-specific programs, the flagship program of the Government of Sindh, which was conceptualized and rolled out as a multi-sectoral program titled Accelerated Action Plan for Reduction of Stunting and Malnutrition in about 2017, with a focus on both nutrition-specific sectors, which is health, and nutrition-sensitive sectors, population welfare, livestock, fisheries, agriculture, WASH, local government, and social protection. The program has been supported by the World Bank, UNICEF, European Union, World Food Program. For nutrition-specific interventions, the implementing partners include the PPHI, overseeing operations at the outpatient therapeutic program sites, nutrition stabilization centers, and Shifa Foundation for outreach efforts through community health workers that are otherwise uncovered by the lady health workers of the health department. Recently, the program has been shifted to the regular or the recurrent site for a permanent financing stream of the program. Other nutrition-specific programs worth mentioning that fed into AAP, European Union's program for improved nutrition in Sindh, spanning across 10 districts, and the World Bank supported nutrition support program spanning across 9 districts. Other programs include PANIAP's Health, Education, and Literacy Program HELP, which is centered on functionalizing and augmentation of the government dispensaries in 4 villages of Talukas, Chachro, and Nagar Park. This is the few highlights of the AAP program. 62 ATP sites established, 3 nutrition stabilization centers in District Tharparkar. These are the 2 recently approved projects, World Bank supported, that are worth mentioning. Sindh Human Capital Investment Project, 1,000 Days Integrated Health and Population Program, with a cost of about $280 million, and Strengthening Social Protection Delivery Systems in Sindh, with a cost of about $230 million. Both programs will target the critical 1,000 window of the child, since the child is conceived till the child is 2 years. The former program will focus on the supply side interventions, like the functionalizing and augmentation of health facilities like government dispensaries, and the latter will focus on the demand side interventions by providing CCTs to pregnant and lactating women to improve health service utilization at health facilities. I'll skim through the SWOT analysis just to give you a brief overview. The strength within the malnutrition landscape in Tharparkar was found to be centered on a well-developed AAP program, particularly for the nutrition-specific interventions. Health department has synergized with the population welfare department and the social protection departments. A widespread network of NGOs for outreach, along with effective public-private partnership in the form of partnership with People's Primary Healthcare Initiative. The areas of improvement of the deficiencies are mostly centered on inadequate synergies or convergence between the nutrition-specific and nutrition-sensitive sectors to foster a whole-of-government approach. Like poverty, nutrition is a multifaceted phenomena which requires a whole-of-government approach. The BCC, the behavior change communication, particularly for hygiene promotion, reproductive health, can be amped up for amplified impact. In terms of opportunities, there are immense opportunities to tap telemedicine, mobile health facilities due to the inundation of health facilities due to the devastating floods, local food fortification, fostering effective PPPs for nutrition-sensitive programs, and replicating promising nutrition-sensitive intervention. For example, the case in point is the wonderful interventions Islamkot Taluka, which can be replicated across the talukas, and obviously moving towards climate resilience and climate-responsive programming. The threats are centered on natural calamities and preparedness to deal with such calamities, import dependence on nutrition supplements such as RUTF, ready-to-use therapeutic food, disruption of the food supply chain, disruption of connectivity, and mounting inflationary pressures. Moving on to the key findings section. The first and foremost issue in Tharparkar was cited as persistent poverty. Just to give you a perspective, the multidimensional poverty headcount in Tharparkar is about 78%, much more than the provincial average of 47%. Lack of clean drinking water was cited as a major reason for poor nutrition of the Tharparkar community. Seasonal migration, nomadic lifestyle, scattered population, all of these factors make integrated service provision a problem. Early marriages, low, poor birth spacing perpetuate the malnutrition vicious cycle. The widespread presence of NGOs of Tharparkar are a positive sign, but there can be better harvest for effective coordination. Lack of connectivity, transportation cost was often cited as a binding constraint, especially for females, that inhibit the health service utilization. In terms of the problem of malnutrition, especially stunting, the intergenerational transmission of poverty is deeply linked to the intergenerational transmission of malnutrition. It cannot be tackled purely by nutrition-specific interventions. A high prevalence of stunting not only affects a child's health, but also restricts their learning outcomes, their labor productivity, and lifetime earnings. I'll now just move through this recommendations part. In repeated discussions, the overall poverty came to the forefront. One of the cross-cutting issues that needs to be addressed to actually address the problem of malnutrition by building upon catalyzing, synergizing, and scaling existing programs like People's Poverty Reduction Program, the rural growth centers envisaged in the Sindh Poverty Reduction Strategy. Impactful interventions implemented in one taluka can be replicated across all talukas of District Tharparkar. Case in point is the interventions by Third Foundation in Islamkot Taluka. Invigoration of the existing forums, Provincial Steering Committee and District Coordination Committee for Nutrition have already been notified for a long time since 2019. They can be invigorated to make policy level decision, implementation decisions. The number of nutrition stabilization centers can be extended. Right now there are in 3 talukas. They can be expanded to all the talukas of Tharparkar. Expansion of outpatient therapeutic program site, there are 62. Mobile OTP units can be deployed for improved coverage. Right now, a lot of health facilities have been inundated by the floods. The outreach of nutrition-specific service can be improved by augmenting the network of CHWs. Behavior change communication can be improved. Provision of clean drinking water with sustainable arrangements need to be prioritized. A whole of government approach is basically needed to address the multiple causes of malnutrition, that is water and sanitation, food security, solid waste management. I'll just end with a few concluding words on the recent devastating floods that have affected virtually every facet of life, every sector, and it is estimated that around 5 million more people are expected to come below the poverty line, which makes a total of 17.1 million 5 million people in Sindh that can basically fall below the poverty line. The incidence of food insecurity might increase considerably, more than double in the calamity hit districts, 24 out of the 30 districts, and increase by 4.3 million people. On that note, I thank you for your kind attention and end my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ubaid. Summing it up, we can say that the basic element, factor responsible for this malnutrition is poverty. And if poverty is alleviated, this menace will be overcome by the province of Sindh. Now I request Mr. Ejaz Ali Khan, Ombudsman Sindh, to kindly address the audience. Thank you, sir.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Honorable Chief Minister Sindh, Syed Murad Ali Shah, Honorable Chris Field, President of the IOI, Honorable Mr. Ijaz Qureshi, President of the Asian Ombudsman Association and also the Federal Ombudsman, Mr. Suhail Rajput, Chief Secretary Sindh, Mr. Qasim Siraj, thank you for being with us, and Hassan Naqvi, the Chairman of the Board, and distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu Alaikum. This study that we have carried out, a lot has been done on this by the government of Sindh also. The reason why we wanted to do it, and I thank IOI for collaborating with us, that this is not only the problem of the health department. I think this is the problem of every citizen of this country. We want to see our children grow and grow in a healthy manner. I'm thankful to the President IOI for me taking this journey and Madam Rebecca. When I requested them that this is a study that we have done with your collaboration and we are launching it now, so I requested him if he can join us. So he immediately agreed, and then not only he agreed, he traveled all the way from Western Australia and came here. Mr. Field, in his field, is a veteran. In fact, his introduction, formal introduction, you will be hearing in a few minutes, but I would just say that he is a veteran ombudsman of the world. He is in his 4th 5-year term in Western Australia. So I think let us give him an applause. Thank you. Once again, thank you very much for being with us. So the Ombudsman institution over here in Sindh was established in 1991, and since then it has been working day and night for the provision of administrative justice to the people. It is free and simple procedure. We do not engage any lawyers because the people are free to come, free to address their complaints to any of our officers. We have about 16 field officers, and we are in the process of establishing 3 new ones. It has always been an agency which has, in a way, supported the government. We, in fact, tell the federal or provincial government that how things are working at the grassroots level, what kind of complaints we receive. And this is all done in our annual reports. We have been working with the provincial government and with various departments. Previously, very recently, not very long ago, we already also conducted another study similar to this one. That was about the girls' education in Sindh and the dropout rates. And I'm happy to report that we have launched it very successfully in exactly the similar manner. And the Chief Minister was very kind. He converted all the recommendations into his directives. And now at this stage, we are in the process of implementing it. And we have also engaged our own regional directors in the implementation of those recommendations. And things are progressing in a, I think, smooth manner. And very soon, hopefully, we will be able to ask the Chief Minister to take a review of this. As we all know, health and education are 2 very, very important subjects. And these are important subjects for everyone in this country. And that was the prime reason why we indulged our office in this kind of activity. And we are hopeful, and we are trying, and we will be trying in this case also, to engage our officers and try to make a little difference in what the government has been doing and what needs to be done, what more needs to be done, and how we can bring about an improvement in what is being done. One of the important aspects, although we have seen the recommendations, all the recommendations are very important, but I think the most important thing is, and that would be, I would say, a thread, that we have a window of just 1,000 days. And if we are not able to recover or address this issue, it becomes irreversible. So that window, small window of 1,000 days is the most critical one. And the opportunity that I see is that we have a number of agencies, a number of non-governmental organizations working in this field. They are trying to do their bit. But what we have observed through this study, that they are working in an isolated manner. They're not really having a coordinated or consolidated effect. So what we plan to do is bring them on a platform where their energies are synergized, where they can really make a difference. I think they are doing a very good job. Similarly, the government itself is doing a very good job, but the only thing is that they are doing in their own spheres and almost in an isolated manner. We would like that to change now. Similarly, I think the Provincial Coordination Committee, I think that also needs to be devolved downstairs. The provincial level is okay, very important. The provincial policy making decisions are taken over there. But we need to have it at the level of the divisions and the districts, where really those policies are implemented in the manner it should. So that is again another important aspect that I think we would like to see that it changes. Poverty, of course, is very important, and government has been taking making efforts to address that issue. Drinking water is an issue because that creates that kind of malnourishment and also other waterborne diseases. So that needs to change. I mean, we have seen that a lot of efforts have been made, but still I think that needs to be addressed and enhanced. I think that is, in a nutshell, what we have seen. The study, as they already said, we have it on our website. It is on the IOI website also, and anybody who's interested is most welcome to have a look at it. Once again, I would like to thank the audience also over here, and also our esteemed guests for making it all the way from Islamabad, from Australia, and join us over here. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, proceeding further, I'll request Mr. Ejaz Qureshi, Federal Ombudsman of Pakistan. He also happens to be the president of Asian Foundation Association, Asian Ombudsman Foundation Association. Mr. Ejaz. Okay.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Honorable Chief Minister Sindh, Honorable Chris Field, President IOI, Honorable Ejaz Ali Khan, Provincial Ombudsman Sindh, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very happy to be associated with the launch of this research study on assessment of malnutrition in District Thar. International Ombudsman Institute, Provincial Ombudsman Sindh, Planning and Development Board, and Chief Minister Sindh deserve our special thanks for spearheading the study on a subject of critical importance to the residents of Thar. Having served as Chief Secretary Sindh some years ago, I am familiar with the challenges of malnutrition and stunting faced by the people of Thar. The key findings of the study are applicable to some other parts of the country and many developing countries with over 1 billion unnourished people worldwide. The Provincial Ombudsman Initiative, therefore, will go a long way in sensitizing the planners and administrators, both at national and international level, to join hands in ensuring food security to their masses. The right of adequate food is a legal obligation under the international law. It is indivisibly linked to the inherent dignity of human person and is indispensable for the fulfillment of other human rights enshrined in the relevant documents. In this context, access to food and nutrition is recognized as a fundamental right in terms of Article 38D of Pakistan's Constitution. Pakistan is also signatory to the UN Convention on Rights of the Child, which entrusts the state to combat disease and malnutrition for children. Any failure or shortcoming on the part of the executive or service providers in dealing effectively with the challenges of food insecurity and malnutrition is tantamount to maladministration. Maladministration and bad governance since grow in the absence of human rights, the role of Ombudsman institution assumes critical importance in promoting good governance and rule of law in any society. The partnership between the International Ombudsman Institute and the Provincial Government Sindh in conducting studies, first on girls' education in Sindh and now malnutrition, is indeed commendable. You will be pleased to know that the Office of Federal Ombudsman, which I represent here, has also conducted 28 such studies reports on various systemic issues, including old age pension, prison reforms with reference to women and children prisoners, environmental pollution, rapid population growth, the working of Central Directorate of National Savings, and similar such studies. Most recently, an empirical study on the plight of street children in Islamabad has been completed. In the context of cyber crimes against children, my office has taken a number of steps to control the menace, and in pursuing a draft legal bill titled Prevention and Control of Cyber Crimes Against Children Bill 2021, which is now completing pre-adoption formalities. Surely the engagement of Ombudsman institution in these areas help in promoting a meaningful discourse in support of human dignity and inviolability. Ladies and gentlemen, the Federal Ombudsman institution in Pakistan has come of age. It was established in 1983 with the objective to diagnose, investigate, redress, and rectify any injustice done to person through maladministration by the federal government agencies. Its mandate is not limited to redressal of grievances alone, but also provides for ascertaining the root causes of corrupt practices and injustices, arranging studies and research, and recommending appropriate steps for their eradication. You'll be pleased to know that more than 1.9 million households have availed the services of our institution since its inception. The incidence of complaints has touched an all-time high record of 164,000 during the preceding year, that is 2022, and the disposal to 157,000 has been unprecedented. The institution of Wafaqi Motsib, therefore, is playing its role in dispensation of quick administrative justice, thereby complementing the efforts of the judiciary in providing justice to all citizens as provided in the Constitution of Pakistan. The steps taken by Wafaqi Motsib institution to check against maladministration in fact contributes toward promoting good governance, rule of law, and inviolability of human rights, which are central to any democratic dispensation. In its long journey of 40 years, the institution of Federal Ombudsman has established its credentials as an effective instrument for providing speedy and inexpensive justice to people. Besides its head office in Islamabad, 17 regional offices and 2 complaint collection centers in different parts of the country are performing their statutory function. The ever-increasing number of complaints received each year reflects the centrality of this institution in redressing the grievances of general public against the federal agencies and realizing the ultimate goal of promoting good governance and protection of human rights. Distinguished guests, I would like to add here that Pakistan has played a pivotal role in promoting ombudsmanship in Asia and the Muslim world. Encouraged by its experience and interaction with the first Asian Ombudsman Conference was convened in Islamabad, establishing Asian Ombudsman Association in April 1996. The Asian Ombudsman Association is a major non-political, independent, democratic and professional body of international character representing more than 2/3 of the world population. With its secretariat at Islamabad, the association has traversed a long way since the inception, which is reflected in continued expansion of its membership, adoption of the well-thought-out rules and regulations of international standard. The Ombudsman fraternity witnessed another important development when Pakistan took the initiative of promoting ombudsmanship in the Muslim world from the platform of Organization of Islamic cooperation. The OIC Ombudsman Association was formed in 2014, and the Federal Tax Ombudsman of Pakistan is the Secretary General of the association. Besides working for the common goals and aspirations, these bodies, that is the Forum of Pakistan Ombudsman, International Ombudsman Institute, Asian Ombudsman Association, and OIC Ombudsman Association, constitute a universal fraternity striving to achieve the ultimate goal of good governance through improved service delivery of government agencies. These are some of the things I thought I would share with my distinguished audience and the chief guest. With these remarks, I'd like to conclude my talk and wish you all success in our common endeavors. Allah Hafiz.
Now I would like to invite Ms. Rihana to introduce our special guest, Mr. Chris Field. Please.
Mr. Chris Field, PSM, is the Western Australian Ombudsman and the President of the International Ombudsman Institute. He holds Arts and Law Honour degree and a professor at the Law School of Western Australia. Mr. Field is Australian longest serving Ombudsman and has been appointed in 2022 for the fourth five-year term of office. It is the first time in the 43 years history of the IOI that an Australian has been elected as president. His appointment also marks the first time that a president has been appointed and elected by IOI members instead of IOI World Board historically, and received 96% of the vote. He was awarded a Public Service Medal in the year 2023 for outstanding public service as Ombudsman and President of the International Ombudsman Institute. He currently holds the role of Charitable Trust Commissioner, Energy and Western Water Ombudsman Chair, State Record Commission, and the inaugural chair of the Accountability Agency's collaborative forums. He's also the author of a range of publications on the Ombudsman and administrative law. His role as an Ombudsman and now IOI President builds on the foundation of a long-term legal practice and work as an economic regulator. Thank you.
I will invite Mr. Chris Field to share his ideas with us. Mr. Chris Field.
Well, assalamu alaikum. It is a great honour to join you in Karachi, Pakistan for the launching ceremony of the research study on assessment of malnutrition in District Tapaka. And it is a particular honour to be here with you here in Karachi because it is my first time ever personally in Karachi. But I think perhaps more importantly, it is the first time that a president of the International Ombudsman Institute has visited Karachi. And indeed, as the first president of the International Ombudsman Institute, I'm very glad that it is the first Australian also to visit you as well. I want to warmly acknowledge the presence here today of a number of people. Can I commence with Chief Minister Sindh? The Chief Minister was so gracious to receive me just before and to place upon me the great honour of a Sindhi cap and also these beautiful clothes. And can I say, I have never spoken anywhere around the world where I feel more honoured than to speak in these beautiful clothes to you today. And I thank you for sharing me that great honour. I want to say to the Chief Secretary of Sindh, with whom I shared a lovely dinner last night, it was so lovely to meet you. To the Planning and Development Board Chairman of Sindh as well, to the Honourable Federal Ombudsman of Pakistan, from whom you have just heard, and also, of course, the President of the Asian Ombudsman Association. But I also want to take this opportunity to pay a particular thanks, and that is to the Honourable Provincial Ombudsman of Sindh. He is a fellow member of the Global Board of the International Ombudsman Institute, and he was responsible for so graciously welcoming me to your country. It has long been a great desire of mine, both personally but perhaps much more important professionally, as the President of the International Ombudsman Institute, to come to Pakistan. And it is such a great privilege and such a great pleasure to be in your extraordinary country, a country of great culture and achievement. And Ombudsman Khan, I thank you for the honour you have directed towards me. Well, in the work that Ombudsman Khan has undertaken, he has examined the fundamental rights of people most in need. Ombudsman Khan initiated a research study on assessment of malnutrition, stunting in the district Tharparkar. The research study that is being launched here today at this very important ceremony is to improve outcomes for the people of Tharparkar. And the research study has been undertaken in a context which you've already heard, that the access to food and nutrition is a fundamental right embedded in the Constitution of Pakistan. The research study is therefore very obviously an important example of how the modern Ombudsman Institute can work for the most fundamental human rights of the people who are in the greatest need. Ombudsman Khan, you are my valued colleague, but you are also my dear friend. I thank you for the deeply important work you have undertaken on this research study. The United Nations resolution on the research of Ombudsman and mediator institutions, and particularly in relation to their role in protecting and promoting human rights, is one that is a specific mandate and guarantee for all Ombudsman institutions around the world, be it in my country, be it in Pakistan, be it wherever we are. And I can say to you from my heart that there could be no more obvious way for an ombudsman anywhere in the world to put this role into practice than to seek to remedy malnutrition and its harmful results. This is surely the definition of great human rights work. And this is what the research study does. And that is what is being launched here today. It seeks to make the issues of the people in Tharparkar better now and better for the future of them and their children. And that surely is the Ombudsman at its finest. And before I had the chance to travel to Pakistan, can I say I also had the chance to look at some of the government response already, Chief Minister Sindh, and the work that the government is doing in taking so seriously the work undertaken by the Ombudsman is a model for countries around the world, and we thank you for the work that the government is undertaking. There is no successful Ombudsman work without a responsive and supportive government, and it was my great pleasure just before I commenced today to thank Chief Minister Sindh for being both responsive and supportive. Well, the II represents over 200 Ombudsman, mediator, public defender and national human rights institutions from more than 100 countries around the world. We represent 6 global regions: Africa, Asia, the Australasian and Pacific, Europe, Caribbean and Latin America, and North America. And the II undertakes a yearly regional subvention program. You've already heard it here mentioned this morning, where we support ombudsmen from every region of the world to undertake projects of special significance to the citizens that they serve. Well, I could not be more delighted, I could not be more pleased and it was a great privilege on my part personally to play just a small role in responding to the fact that this important study was to be supported by such an IOI regional subvention. This research study today that is being launched is supported by international ombudsmen globally, and it is being supported in a way that matters. It is being supported by the finances of international ombudsmen globally, and all the way from Vienna, money has come to Pakistan to assist with this incredibly important report. And it could not have been spent in a better way, Ombudsman Khan. Well, upon being elected President of the IOI, I made a very specific commitment that I would promote the importance and the absolute fundamental significance of the Asian Region Ombudsman Association and area. And I would do so in part by coming to the great countries of the Asian region, wherever I was honoured with an invitation to do so. Well, in this context, I could not be more delighted to thank the President of the Asian Ombudsman Association, who joins us today, and the Federal Ombudsman of Pakistan for his leadership in this enormously populous and deeply historic and culturally significant part of our world. Asian ombudsmen are especially important to me. They were part of one very specific guarantee when I was elected as President in 2021 that I would serve this region of the world, a region that historically had been underserved by predecessors. I mean, not to criticise them, simply to say it was time for this part of the world to receive every single form of support from the President and from the Executive. And I hope and I trust you, and I trust that you will trust me, that that support will continue. Well, before concluding, I just want to recognise one particular thing. My High Commissioner is currently not in Islamabad, but he's actually in Australia. So couldn't join us for this particular event. In fact, not only is he in Australia, he's in Perth, Western Australia, where I come from. But I do want to recognise that as Western Australian Ombudsman, that Australia and Pakistan maintain incredibly important bilateral relationships, including two-way trade in goods and services worth $1.81 billion a year. We have an enormous and incredibly important and deeply loved and respected diaspora of Pakistan people in my country who have added so much to our cosmopolitan and our beautiful country that you have brought to us. We enjoy a very long-standing and growing ties with Pakistan, and it's underpinned by the deep people-to-people links that we have maintained with you since around 1948 and the establishment of our commission in Islamabad. Well, I want to conclude with these remarks. This report, to me, is a remarkable and landmark piece of work. It is a singular and great testament to the work of Provincial Ombudsman Sindh. He has, in this piece of work, along with his exceptional staff, sought to protect the most vulnerable citizens in your province. This report is not just relevant to Pakistan, though. It provides other ombudsmen around the world the encouragement to undertake these sorts of fundamental human rights reports. And that will be central to their work. I can tell you that there is nothing more exciting and important for any ombudsman than to look around the world and to see the sort of work that our colleagues and our friends are doing, and to say, if Ombudsman Khan can do that work, so can others, and so can the rest of us. And he has led us in that regard. For this leadership, I thank you, Ombudsman Khan. I thank you, and I thank our highly distinguished speakers for their commitment to this launching ceremony. Chief Minister, I thank you. There is perhaps no greater honour than to first be welcomed by the Chief Minister and then welcomed into his house. And I thank you. In my country, being welcomed into your house is a great honour. I think it is the same in Pakistan. I thank you for offering me to be here today. Well, at the commencement of my address, I indicated to you that this was my first visit to Pakistan and the first for an IO president to Pakistan. Well, my friends, you have my promise here today. It will not be my last. I am deeply, deeply honoured that you have invited me to Karachi to join you for the launching of this I consider to be a benchmark, landmark and an Ombudsman report at its finest. For your very, very kind invitation to join you today, I simply say this to you. Bahut shukriya.
May I request the Honourable Chief Minister, who has been very supportive to the social sector development, to express his views. Honourable Chief Minister.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Honourable President, International Ombudsman Institute and Ombudsman for Western Australia, Mr. Chris Field, Honourable Ombudsman Pakistan and President, Asian Ombudsman Association, Mr. Ijaz Ahmed Qureshi, Ombudsman Sindh, Mr. Ijaz Ali Khan Sahab, Mr. Qasim Sumro, Chief Secretary Sindh, Dr. Suhail Rajput, Chairman P&D Board, Sayyid Hassan Naqvi, and I need to acknowledge the dignitaries who are sitting in front of me, starting with Mr. Mumtaz Shah, the former Chief Secretary, Mr. Shahnawaz Tariq, the Ombudsman for Protection Against Harassment of Women in Workplace, Mr. Asad Ashraf, the erstwhile Ombudsman Sindh, Ms. Rebecca Poole, the Principal Assistant for Mr. Chris Field, Ms. Rehana Ghulam Ali, Khawar Jamil Saab, the Federal Insurance Ombudsman, and last and not the least, Mr. Anwar Haider, who I had the honour of working with when I joined government service. He was the first person who guided me through how the government works. Thank you for coming here today. Provincial secretaries, the Ombudsman office, the ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. First of all, let me welcome Mr. Chris Field, President IOI, on his visit to Sindh. I'm glad that he was able to make it for this important function. We here in Sindh are honoured to have you with us today. I feel honoured to launch the report on assessment of malnutrition, stunting in District Tharparkar at the Chief Minister's house today. This report has been prepared by the Research and Training Wing, Planning and Development Department, the International Ombudsman Institute, and the Provincial Ombudsman Sindh. The Ombudsman institution is committed to provide prompt redressal to public grievances without creating any financial burden and ensuring administrative justice to all citizens. A cursory glance at the Ombudsman's performance demonstrates its adherence to its basic objectives. Ombudsman Sindh contributes in improving service delivery by taking issues and problems being faced by the people and through research facilitate their resolution, thus helping the government agencies in pointing out gaps. Recently, the Ombudsman Sindh carried out a study on girl education and came up with realistic and actionable recommendations which have been approved by the Government of Sindh and sent to the Education and Literacy Department for implementation. I've been informed that the IOI, under the leadership of Mr. Chris Field, has been collaborating with its members on such critical issues. I thank the IOI and its president for such initiatives. The Ombudsman Sindh, in collaboration with IOI and PND, has undertaken a study on malnutrition and stunting in Tharparkar district, giving insight and analysis on the subject and suggesting ways and means to overcome this challenge. Government is already engaged in tackling this problem and has launched various programs and allocated adequate funds. Not only that, Sindh government has been collaborating with donor agencies to mitigate the severity of this problem. I'll just say a few words in Urdu for the benefit of the media here, because I believe that Tharparkar is or was the most backward district in, I had to speak in Urdu, सबसे पसमानदा इलाका था सूबा सिंध का, और आज से कोई 30 साल पहले यहाँ पे कोयला दरियाफ्त हुआ था, और उस वक्त की हुकूमत ने, शहीद मोहतरमा बेनज़ीर भुट्टो साहिबा की हुकूमत ने थरपारकर की डेवलपमेंट के लिए काम शुरू किया। कोयले की डेवलपमेंट और उसके हवाले से जो थरपारकर में प्रोग्रेस आएगी। अनफॉर्चुनेटली वो काम उस तेज़ी से नहीं बढ़ा, और जब 2008 में पाकिस्तान पीपल्स पार्टी की हुकूमत आई, उन्होंने शहीद मोहतरमा बेनज़ीर भुट्टो के उस विज़न को आगे बढ़ाया और को थोड़ा कुछ बताया भी था प्रेजेंटेशन में, जब बता रहे थे इस स्टडी की प्रेजेंटेशन जब की थी, कि एक तालका मिट्टी जहाँ पे ये कोल रिजर्व्स मौजूद हैं, वहाँ पे थर फाउंडेशन ने काम किया है, और वहाँ पे उसके असरात, उसके रिज़ल्ट्स सामने आए हैं। ये स्टंटिंग का प्रॉब्लम पानी ना मुहैया होने की वजह से सबसे ज़्यादा होता है, और हुकूमत सिंध ने थर के अंदर, मुझे एग्जैक्ट नंबर इस वक्त याद नहीं है, चेयरमैन पीएनडी शायद मुझे मदद कर सके, लेकिन सैकड़ों की तादाद में आरओ प्लांट्स लगाए हैं, बड़े भी हैं, छोटे भी हैं, उनके प्रॉब्लम्स होते रहते हैं ऑफ एंड ऑन, बट हुकूमत सिंध उस जगह पे जहाँ पानी मुयसर नहीं था, पानी पहुँचा रही है। हेल्थ फैसिलिटीज़ की बात करें तो मिट्टी का अस्पताल एक डिस्ट्रिक्ट हेडकोार्टर अस्पताल के होने के हवाले से उसमें वो सारी सहूलियात, बल्कि उनसे ज़्यादा सहूलियात मौजूद हैं कि आसपास के डिस्ट्रिक्ट के लोग भी मिट्टी आते हैं। स्कूल एजुकेशन हो, वहाँ पे हमने थर फाउंडेशन के साथ हुकूमत सिंध ने सिटीजन्स फाउंडेशन के स्कूल बनाए हैं, वहाँ अस्पताल एक बन रहा है जो कि इंशाअल्लाह ताला जल्द मुकम्मल होगा। तो इंटरवेंशन सारी की हैं, लेकिन बिल्कुल दुरुस्त था कि ये एक तालके तक महदूद है अभी इस वक्त, और इंशाअल्लाह ताला हम इसको आगे बढ़ाएंगे। और हमने अब हुकूमत के हर प्रोजेक्ट की जो कॉर्पोरेट सोशल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी CSR, उसके अंदर ये लाजम करार दिया है कि वो जो थर का मॉडल है कॉर्पोरेट सोशल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी का, उसको फॉलो करें। जहाँ तक स्टंटिंग का जिक्र है, इसी कमरे में आज से कोई 7-8 साल पहले उस वक्त वर्ल्ड बैंक के प्रेसिडेंट आए थे, और इसी कमरे में हमने स्टंटिंग के लिए बात की थी। वर्ल्ड बैंक का भी बहुत ज़्यादा कंसर्न था, और हमने एक्सेलरेटेड एक्शन प्लान शुरू किया था। और मुझे याद है एजाज खान साहब व्हेन ही वाज चेयरमैन प्लानिंग एंड डेवलपमेंट, वो उस वक्त भी काम कर रहे थे। उसकी प्रोग्रेस मैं एक्नॉलेज करूँगा थोड़ी स्लो है, हमें उसके बाद इश्यूज़ काफ़ी आते रहे, कोविड और फिर फ्लड्स की वजह से हमारा काम थोड़ा स्लो डाउन हुआ है। लेकिन इस वक्त फिर हमने वो जो ज़िक्र किया था अपनी प्रेजेंटेशन में कि पहले 1000 दिन, द फर्स्ट 1000 डेज़ आर इम्पॉर्टेंट, बच्चे की कंसेप्शन से उसके तकरीबन 3 साल की उम्र तक का जो टाइम होता है, जिसमें ड्यूरिंग प्रेगनेंसी जो सपोर्ट हम देते हैं, उसके लिए हमने बड़े, और थरपारकर से वो शुरू किया हमने, थरपारकर, उमरकोट और तीसरा डिस्ट्रिक्ट मुझे याद नहीं, बिल्कुल ख़ास शायद, हमने उसमें हम ख़वातीन को जो प्रेग्नेंट हामला ख़वातीन हैं उनको स्टाइपेंड देते हैं एक, कि वो विज़िट करें, अपनी विज़िट्स जो आएँ तो कॉम्पनसेट किए जाते हैं, इसलिए कि हमारे यहाँ ये ख़वातीन काम भी करती हैं। तो उस दिन के लिए उनको सर ट्रांसपोर्ट प्लस जो लॉस ऑफ अर्निंग है उसके लिए कॉम्पनसेट किया जाता है ताकि वो टाइमली अपनी जो प्री नेटल चेकअप्स हैं वो कराएं और उसके बाद बच्चे की पैदाइश के बाद भी उसकी पूरी जो इम्यूनाइजेशन है और उसकी देखभाल है उसके लिए जो सप्लीमेंट्स है वो हम देते हैं। तो कहने का मकसद ये कि हुकूमत सिंध इस पे काम कर रही है, लेकिन हमने इस पे और इसलिए कि ये ऐसा प्रॉब्लम है स्टंटिंग का, बाकी आपने बताया था, इट्स वेरी अनफॉर्चुनेट कि सिंध के अंदर हम वी आर डूइंग probably at the bottom as compared to the other provinces. हमने इस पे काम करना है बिकॉज ये हमारे फ्यूचर का सवाल है। अगर आपकी 40% आबादी स्टंट है और उसकी ग्रोथ स्टंटेड है, और यही बच्चे आगे जाके आपकी इकोनॉमी में का जो कंट्रीब्यूट करेंगे, और अगर वो 40% बच्चा उस लेवल पे नहीं आता है तो ये पूरे मुल्क का एक लॉस होगा। तो हम इस पे बिल्कुल एक्टिवली काम कर रहे हैं और इंशाल्लाह ताला इसको और तेज़ करेंगे। मैंने ये सारे उर्दू में I'll just repeat, concisely repeat what I have said in Urdu. The government of Sindh has taken several initiatives to mitigate the sufferings of local community by providing health facilities, undertaking health projects, providing food, diffusion of literacy, child and maternity centers, employment for skilled and unskilled workers. Stunting is a serious issue and its consequences are far-reaching, as it not only impairs the development of a child as a normal person, but simultaneously causes socio-economic loss to the society. Therefore, a comprehensive multi-sectorial strategy should be devised to meet this challenge at national and provincial level. Sindh government is conscious of this issue and assigns highest priority to health and education. As a policy, all the relevant partners have been taken aboard. Policy is subject to periodic review and assessment to overcome the multifaceted problem. I am confident that the government of Sindh, in collaboration with all stakeholders, has a strong resolve to overcome this critical problem, and I assure our full support and cooperation in this regard. I once again thank Mr. Chris for being with us here today. As I said, we are truly honored to have you here. I am grateful to the Provincial Ombudsman, the Planning and Development Department, and the International Ombudsman Institute for preparing this report, which will help us in overcoming the stunting problem and give us guideline to resolve this problem. We will present this report to the Provincial Cabinet also and have it approved so that it can be implemented and the recommendations are followed. Once again, thank you all for coming here.
I am very grateful to Honorable Chief Minister for his speech, which is very enlightening. Now I will again request the Chief Minister, Honorable Chief Minister, to present souvenirs to our guests over on the stage. First, I will request Mr. Crisfield to come and receive his souvenir. Now Mr. Ejaz Qureshi is requested to come and receive his souvenir. Now I will request Ms. Rebecca to come on the stage and receive her souvenir. Finally, Mr. Ejaz Ali Khan will present shield to the Honorable Chief Minister. Now I request the honorable guest for a group photograph on the stage. Sir. Haji. All the guests are requested to proceed to the refreshment.